Welcome back to In Case You Missed It with Jose Patiño from Aliento. Today we'll be talking about the latest polling from the Pew Research Center, which is the gold standard of public opinion polling, as well as, again, new data, new reports that talk about how students are doing with increasing ICE activities around schools, but also around their communities. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit about and celebrate some of our students and the events they had done at their schools promoting higher education, safe learning, as well as overall concept of being a man for other. But to get started a little bit, last Saturday was the first inaugural Phoenix Marathon. I ran the 10K. People are confused with marathon. I'm not. But it did inspire me to want to run a marathon in the future. So for all of you who are running, please send me any tips how to stay healthy. I'm getting a little bit older in my mid to late 30s and my body doesn't recover as much. So if you have any advice that won't hurt your feet or your legs running, okay, let's get started. I know I've been talking to a lot of folks that were surprised and in many ways shocked that so many Latinos, upwards to 48% of them, voted for Trump in the 2024 election. Those of us have been working with Latinos for years. I'm being a Latino for... I'm not surprised. It's something that we have seen in the past, right? In 2004, we saw 46% of them Latinos supporting then candidate, which later became President Bush, when he was running for re-election. And a lot of the reasons that people decided to choose President Bush was around economics, and then also his rhetoric around family, faith, and to an extent border security and keeping that safe. So what we saw a lot in 2024, it was similar. A lot of Latinos supported then candidate Trump because, especially in the economy, again, a lot of Americans, especially Latinos, struggle. We hit hard with inflation, the rise of grocery prices, housing, this cost of energy. And then, as well as a lot of folks, even people with my own family, felt that the way the Biden administration was handling immigration was not something that they would support it. Now, again, we saw about 48% of them support Donald Trump. Now, almost a year later, we have seen, at least with the latest polling, about 70% of Latinos disagree with Trump's, the way he's enforcing immigration policy. Over 70% don't support President Trump as well, as close to 73%. It doesn't mean that they're going to support a Democrat. What the polling just shows that they're not in agreement in President Trump's policy. And the two issues that they focus on this report is the economy and immigration. And then also this research showed us that about 50% of the respondents had a family member or a friend that they knew could potentially be impacted by immigration enforcement. And then 50% of those individuals were afraid, the last year they had fear for their community if ICE were to conduct operations. So what we're seeing right now, and again, is something that a lot of us expected, that Trump's messaging on immigration was something that would resonate, but once they saw the image of little kids, of farm workers, just regular people going about the business in a local restaurant, getting arrested and detained, specifically, they look like them, and the images and the way ICE is conducting would really turn against the administration. So that's what we're seeing. My hope is that, again, I come from an immigrant community. My hope is that we can go away from politicians and really focus on the issue and making sure that whoever is president and which political party is in charge, making sure that we actually fulfill those promises that have been made for years and years to legalize immigrants, and making sure that these individuals have the protections, not only that, again, that are humanly, right, in terms of what people should have as a human, but also legally. When I was a teacher, a lot of my students would joke, it's like, we love you, Mr. Patiño, you're not like the greatest teacher. And because they would, honestly, there was a lot to learn in terms of the pedagogy and constructing a good lesson plan and working through the bell work and then through objectives and different strategies that I didn't really know. But one of the things that they would say is we love your classroom because you really care about us. And that's why we're actually trying to learn. So I took that with me, and through the difficult days of learning how to be a teacher, managing classroom and managing students and different things that students go through. Many of my students were going through and had gone through family separation when they had a family member detained or deported. And that was challenging, and it impacted not only their mental health of their academics. I know some of them had to postpone or even cancel their college going process. And this is what the research is showing us. It's that in the last 11 months, with the increased activity of ICE in Florida, we have seen the decrease academic of Latino students or Spanish-speaking students. The report that we have seen from California, also absent student attendance is decreasing. We're seeing higher numbers of students reporting levels of stress, anxiety. Again, this is not new. I think a lot of us in the education field were forecasting that this would happen. It's just different when you have data and then you have stories. Like I have several individuals of even middle school students talking about they know of individuals, their classmates who have been detained for a prolonged period of time, or high school students who they know individuals who have been arrested or detained, or they have family members, and how that has impacted them, even if it's not them themselves, it's not within their family, it's not even within their classroom, but it's within their school community. So we were part of the things that report talks about is when ICE conducted an operation in an apartment complex, 50% of the students, and this is in Arizona earlier this year, didn't attend school the next day. We also know that from the reports of North Carolina, and in the last several weeks, student absence have increased over 10,000 per day. So that's something that is very important. So my thing is, as those who are you in the classroom educator, I know this is not the best year for education. It's been tough, but if it matters how you communicate, it matters the words that you use, it matters the visuals that you have. Again, number one way that students are going to be able to learn and focus on gaining their skills and knowledge is if they feel that they're safe and they belong. For administrators and counselors, we have resources. You can also partner with local organizations like Aliento, other organizations who are doing Know Your Rights, providing resources for students. Because the families, part of the biggest concern is the families don't know that they have resources and they have rights that they can use for themselves and advocate. So make sure to do so. And the last thing that I wanted to cover is that even the rumor that ICE is going to conduct an operation impacts negatively attendance, impacts students, because of all the images that we're seeing. When I was a kid, a lot of my parents didn't want to talk about certain issues around immigration, and rightfully so. However, they didn't know that, like I would hear it on the playground, I would hear it on my school, I would hear it at the grocery store, sometimes when we went to church. So students are hearing that, even though like at that time they have social media, they're hearing it on social media as well from their friends. So it's best that you all communicate and have those conversations. So at least they're hearing it from you all instead of hearing it from somewhere else, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So you want to make sure that you're responsible. I know we had some polling data and then also talked a little bit about sort of how ICE actions impact students and communities, but also wanted to highlight a couple of our, 3 of our students that had events last week. One of them was Isabella. She had a workshop on supporting students applying for college, using scholarships, different pathways they can go through. The other one was in Mesa High School, they created their gingerbread competition. So it was great that they were able to have that. That's the club that we have at Mesa High. Zitlali is the president. And it was great to see the pictures and the videos of kids being kids. Sometimes we forget that even though they're high school students, they're still our kids at heart. So it was great for them to be able to build that community space. The last one is our middle intern from Brophy, Henry Pastor. He was able to organize a teaching where he had Senator Flavio Bravo as well as Mike Huckins from the Greater Phoenix Chamber talk about their own personal impact with immigration, but also the positive gain of immigration policy and impact it would have on the economy, as well as sharing their own personal stories. So I wanted to highlight our students. If you have any questions, please send them our way. If you're looking for resources, go to alientoaz.org/resources, and we would love to have you. And if I don't see you, happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.